The epitome of an awesome client, especially in her desire to show up for herself, both in her physical gains, but also in her mindset.
Oh, that's so sweet. That could make me
Who
cry.
needs a Kleenex? Who
I
wants a
know, I'm
Kleenex?
actually tearing up. That was so sweet. Leanna, that was adorable.
Welcome to the Clear Skin Chronicles, the podcast that takes you on a journey to uncover the secrets of achieving glowing, acne-free skin. We believe that knowledge is power, and by understanding the root causes of acne, we can create a solid foundation for long-lasting clear skin. I'm Katie Stewart, registered holistic nutritionist and founder of the Clear Skin Solution, where we help women just like you get to the root cause of their acne.
And I'm Chris Brown, registered holistic nutritionist and program director inside the Clear Skin Solution. Through functional testing, we pinpoint where the body system imbalances lie, so we can dive deep into the acne clearing journey.
We work virtually with clients to clear up their skin from the inside out and have helped thousands of women worldwide regain their confidence.
All right, everybody, we're back for another one of our series of Real Skin, Real Journeys. And today we have one of our, I don't know if we should call you former or current client, Sabrina, because you actually officially ended your 6 months with us just a few weeks ago as the time of recording, but you're sticking around with us for an extra month. So you have graduated, but I guess you're more of an alumni. We can call you an alumni. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned just before we started recording, is Chris and I have absolutely loved doing these because just being able to connect with the clients and hear that not only the differences in the journeys, right, Chris, but also the similarities, because everybody's had a different journey, but we hear a lot of similar underlying themes there as well. So Sabrina, I'm so excited for you to be hanging out with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is so fun.
It's really cool, right? When you get to connect virtually like this, because you said, you know, you live over in Michigan, we're in Ontario, but it's so cool that we can still connect in this virtual world that we have. So to start it off, Sabrina, is one of the similarities I'm sure you have, like the rest of the clients we've spoken with, is you probably tried a lot of things for your acne, right? Like what are all of the things that you had tried before you came in to work with us?
I guess it all started in high school when I went on birth control. And I went in for acne and just the little high school Sabrina who didn't know anything about acne or didn't know anything about holistic healing. When my doctor said, you should go on the birth control pill, I was like, cool, sign me up. That's totally fine. So I was on it for about 10 years, I want to say. Like, I got off of it for a little bit, face exploded. I'm like, oh, I should just continue this then. I should just continue the birth control. So I was on that for about 10 years. And then when I stopped, when I realized and kind of like had my eyes open to holistic healing, I went cold turkey off the birth control pill because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so bad for my body. And I realized that I should get off of it. Again, my face exploded with totally like covering my cheeks, my forehead, my chin, everywhere. And so I ended up going on this liver protocol because I was reading a book called Beyond the Pill. And that really did help me to clear it up a little bit. I'd say it became a little less inflamed, but I wasn't able to clear it up all the way. So I ended up reaching out to a naturopathic doctor, and I started working with her, and she and I started working on the hormones right away, which is something that I learned through Clear Skin Solution isn't going to be a long-term root goal here. So yeah, we started working on the hormones first, and my acne honestly got worse. Like it definitely got worse before it got better. After we found out that I had SIBO, then we started doing all of the herbs and the protocols. That's when I actually started to see results in my skin, but it was very temporary. So I was only working with her for 4 months, and she told me like, you'll be totally fine after 2 months of this protocol. Like your journey will be basically like over at that point because you'll have clear skin. And I saw a little bit of clear skin for a little bit. And then it's just been a roller coaster ride ever since, because, you know, I'm at the top of the roller coaster and I'm like, oh, I have such beautiful skin. And then I plummet where I have another flare up and I'm like, what's going on here? And it's really hard to try to navigate that alone without someone walking me down the path. So I'd say before Clear Skin Solution, I was just kind of riding solo / like dabbling in herbs and trying to kind of fix my own skin. So um that's where I was, and I feel like I was like at my wit's end when I signed up. So I was yeah, I was not in the best headspace when I signed up for Clear Skin Solution, just because I was like, I've tried everything. I can't do this anymore. It's been years. I'll always have acne, but I've I've seen such improvement since being in this program.
There's so many bits I want to pull out from that, Sabrina. You're such a good speaker. I was like, I think she could hold this podcast herself. So you did so good.
That's big accolades, right? Because Katie has a media, background. So just run with that one. Run with that one.
No, you're so well spoken. You did such a great job of walking us through that timeline, right? Because and as you were telling your story, it's a very similar story to myself, where I went on the birth control pill in my mid-teens and I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, just give me the pill. No idea why. And then a decade later, when I came off, my skin freaked out. And it's so hard when you all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, what is happening? And I love that you brought up Beyond the Pill, because it's a great book. Dr. Jolene Bright has some really incredible knowledge out there. I've read that book. It's phenomenal. And I think it really helps to give a lot of people insights into like how the pill is absolutely impacting their body. So I love that for you. That was kind of like, I like to say the gateway drug into, I guess that's probably not the right term, but the gateway into the holistic living for you. And that, you kind of kept going. So you were trying the alternative kind of healthcare where you were looking at herbs and supplements and all of those things, and you were getting results, but you still weren't where you wanted to be. Right. And the fact that, discovered you had SIBO, I know you were also discovered you had IBS, PCOS. So you got a lot of different diagnoses in that time in a very short period of time. And I can imagine, being 24, 25, when you found this out, it's like, oh my gosh, I have IBS and SIBO and PCS, and my periods are really long and I have all of these things to do, that it can be a little overwhelming at times.
Yeah, it was so overwhelming. And then when because I had to stop seeing my naturopathic doctor because she went on maternity leave. So I just kind of was like left high and dry. Like, what do I do now? So it was like trying to piece what I did know, trying to piece the puzzle by myself, but I just didn't have a clear picture of all that I needed to do. So yeah, I'm so grateful that I found the Clear Skin Solution, and that I'm seeing so much more clarity and honestly confidence too within myself. I've gotten so many compliments since being in this program. People will be like, Sabrina, your skin looks so good. And I'm like, that's the only compliment I want to hear. So thank you.
I am ecstatic that you get that compliment. Like, because having acne myself, I know what it means to be told that you have such great skin. You're like, wait, me? You're talking like me? And they're like, yeah. And you're like, oh my gosh, yay. Because when you beat yourself up for so long and you look in the mirror and it's so hard to stay positive when all you want to do is cry inside, that too. Like, I'm just so proud of you for not giving up on yourself, because there were so many spots along your journey where you could have been like, that's it. This isn't working. My skin's flaring. This is happening. My naturopath is gone. I'm just going to go on medication. I'm going to figure it out. But you were such a really good advocate for yourself. You're like, no, I just haven't figured it out yet. And you kept going. So that's really admirable, because that's really difficult for a lot of people to do. So like, honestly, kudos to you for not giving up on yourself.
Thank you. And another big push for me was that I'm getting married in August. And so by the time that I signed up for Clear Skin Solution, I just decided like, well, the time is going to pass anyways. Like, I will be getting married in August no matter what. And I just kept thinking, like, would I rather, try to piece this together on myself, or should I make the investment? Because at that point, this is the most important thing to me. as long as I have clear skin on the day of my wedding and my husband and I both say yes, like I'll be fine. Nothing else really matters.
Absolutely. And I so resonate with this because I came off the birth control pill around the time of my wedding, which like months before my wedding, and my skin freaked out. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, my skin's going to look like this on my wedding day and all of the photos that last forever. And I know my husband loves me, but I'm going to be so self-conscious and I have speeches to make. And I'm so happy for you that, you know, you had a good end to your story where your skin will be clear for your wedding. Mine was like just barely. So I can appreciate that for sure. But I'm so happy for you that you were like, you know what, I'm getting married. I need the help. I'm going to do this. And you did the things and you got the results. So now that we've kind of learned a little bit about, you know, your journey, you know, through dealing with acne, I would love to kind of just start digging into, okay, because I like to pull Chris into this because, you know, Chris is big on the minerals and the HTMAs. This is her wheelhouse. I don't even bother because she would just talk over me anyways. So I want to ask both you and Chris now this question is, what ended up being those missing puzzle pieces for Sabrina that she just didn't have on the table when she was trying to put the puzzle together? Especially Chris, when we look at those interpreted HTMA results, what were those underlying factors that were just getting missed for her?
Ooh, so sexy. First, I do want to say, Sabrina, I do love that you said this. The time is going to pass regardless.
Yeah.
Right? I know I want my wedding day to be X, Y, and Z because we all have goals. We all have dreams. We all have what we have. And then you were like, the time's going to, so I can jump in and invest because most people that have that similar situation, they're like, but I don't want my skin to freak out. So what I'll do is I'll live with what I know because it's easier than the unknown. So that was a big leap of faith. So that, boom, love.
I loved that. Loved. It was going to pass anyways.
That's a gold star.
I think we need a t-shirt that says that. Time was going to pass anyways.
Right. But definitely that's a beautiful, and I understand that, you know, you're a teacher and then a life coach as well. And there's some practicing, but some things just come naturally to people, right? Like you didn't gravitate into life coaching because there was some kind of empathetic or empathy that you crave to be a teacher, you crave to be nurses, you crave to help people, and then life coach, right? So it's just nice to see that transition, those words, and then see what you do. So it's kind of, that's a whole lot of sexy. Anyways, with regards to the minerals,
Chris had a sidebar. She's like, there was just some words I had to discuss before we talked about minerals.
Well, because I have to, like,
I know.
I'll get heartburn if I don't say it. I'm not getting heartburn.
No heartburn today for Chris.
Here's the thing. When people come in, ladies, you have SIBO, we're going to likely work 6 months on digestion. I have no other words.
SIBO is a tough one.
Katie, you know it.
Yeah, SIBO myself. She's tough.
Right? It's eating the foods. It's in your past, doing the FODMAPs, doing 2 supplements. So 2 supplements in your past history and low FODMAPs, you're going to get reduction because we're not eating those carbohydrates, right? It's the disaccharides that cause a lot of issues. So there's 3 levels, let's just say there's 3 levels of sugars: monosaccharides, disaccharides, polysaccharides, however we want to call it, oleosaccharides, yada, yada.
We're going into teaching mode, everybody. Get ready.
Well, because I want to tell everybody, it's not the monosaccharides. Monosaccharides, one sugar, it breaks down. It's the disaccharides. So it's all the breads and the pastas and the pizzas, and even the whole foods, the rice, sometimes the potatoes. These types of things, whether they're delicious, still cause gas and bloat. So when we go on low FODMAPs, and Sabrina, you can probably attest, not fun.
I'm doing a low FODMAP right now. Not fun. Not fun.
Why? Because we engulf sugary drinks, or we want to go out and have, dinner outside of the house, or we don't feel like cooking, right? For whatever reason, we're human and these are natural things. However, molybdenum is a very big marker with gut health. And when it's super low, or cobalt, we start to look at things. Can you even break down those proteins? And that's happening in the stomach. So we know all the way up, because carbohydrates get processed in the mouth first. So if you're getting gas and bloat, we have opportunity right in the mouth to start with the mastication, the chewing, getting the enzymes going, right? The saliva. SIBO is just such a big dog, and I can't. And Sabrina, maybe you could just go into that, because I know your file, you know your file, Kate knows your file, but for everybody listening, how heavy was the digestive piece while working inside the Clear Skin Solution?
Oh yeah, it was like 75% of what I did, maybe more. I think that we also might continue after, because I'm doing a liver protocol right now, but I still think that there might be some gut stuff. So I think that it's just not over yet.
It's interesting, right? Is so often where we work heavily on the gut, then like, okay, let's do a little liver, let's do little hormones. And then we always end up back in the gut, because the gut generally, it's not a one shot and you're done. Like the gut needs several kind of therapeutic passes to go through.
Yeah, some TLC, right? Like think about just post trauma in our own lives. We do something, those memories come up. Right. And then we either have an opportunity to work through them, or we say, oh, this is not a good time, let's repress it. And then what's going to happen again? They're just going to come up. So the gut has a similar opportunity. Now, we definitely went in and gave that gut some extra love. I think there was a dedicated 5 months for that. So now it's not about forever though, right? You're seeing a little bit of light at the tunnel. You're eating it, definitely in the liver protocol. You're eating those foods that would have caused immediate gas and bloating.
Yes.
Yeah. Sure. Like the garlic and the onions, especially.
Oh yeah.
Even rice. We do, we do some of those, some nuts and seeds. These types of things in the liver protocol. And those disaccharides I'm talking about, they're in the liver. Why? Because the liver wants that glucose. The liver needs the protein, and the liver needs things to help itself detoxify. So can you just tell me now, if you ate what you were eating now when you first came in, are you seeing any improved digestion? Now I understand there's still gut because we're working through it.
Yeah.
What are some enhancements you're seeing?
I've definitely seen improvement. Like I'm able to eat, because on the liver protocol, I can eat potatoes again, which I'm just really thrilled about.
Love a potato.
Who doesn't love potassium?
Yeah.
Love a potato.
Yeah.
The purple ones? Yeah, lower glycemic, right?
So good. And then, just being able to put some chia seeds and flax seeds in my smoothies, and able to eat just a wide variety of food that I wasn't able to for like a good 4 months. So it's been really exciting to cook again, just to include those different foods.
I know it's fun, right? Is when you're going through therapeutic protocols, they're challenging. So I kind of want to talk with you, Sabrina, like, let's talk through those challenges, because I always say, and I'm always so transparent, is clearing up your acne and having your body self-heal. This is never a linear A to B process. It's not like you're going to start day one and it's slowly going to get better. There are going to be ups and downs. There are going to be flares, and not just flares of your skin, but there could be flares of old symptoms, new symptoms, current symptoms. So I would love for you to kind of just walk us through, like, what was your journey like? Did you see any flares? Did you have any obstacles?
Yeah, I'd say when I was on the gut protocol, I feel like it took me, I would say, a solid 3 months for me to be able to like look in the mirror and be like, oh yeah, now I see it. Like now I see a big difference, just because I'm not looking for like the little teeny tiny things. I was looking for the big overall like smooth skin. But definitely looking back at my pictures now, I can see the littler things now that I've been in this protocol for a longer time. So, and I definitely have had flares. So that's what I would like everyone to know who is looking into the Clear Skin Solution, or you're in the middle of it. You might experience a flare, but don't give up, because that's your body just readjusting and reorganizing a few things. I'm just going to say that in the very
I like that. Reorganizing. Little house cleaning.
It's just exactly. It's doing some house cleaning, organizing. And so, a flare absolutely might happen. I actually just had a flare this past weekend, and I'm 7 months into it, but you just have to continue on the protocol and trust the process. Just know that everything's happening in perfect timing. I always remind myself of that. It's gonna clear up. It's gonna happen. It's just, everything's happening for me right now. So just continue to push through those tough flares, give yourself some love, do some extra self-care stuff. I like baths personally. I feel like that is like
Sabrina,
best.
we're best friends.
The best.
I think we're just gonna be best friends from now on.
Yes, exactly.
I love a bath. Obsessed. Even Chris loves a
Right.
good bath.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what, Sabrina? Paige listens to the podcast, and all I have to say is,
She's eye rolling at the moment.
Paige, we're just saying,
She
do
hates
the bath.
baths.
She hates
them.
baths.
Oh, really?
I know. She's weird.
What?
Paige is weird.
What about
Yeah,
a foot
she's-
soak? I feel like
She would probably do a foot soak, but
Okay.
to do a bath. Actually, she was at my house a few weeks ago, and she was like, "I think I need to have a bath." I'm like, "I'm sorry. What did you just say to me?"
Out loud.
Sorry, what?
What?
So yeah, there is a group of crazy people that don't like baths.
Wow.
out there. I know.
Never thought that I would meet one, but you know,
She'll try everything else, like armpit detox. I have her doing foot
nice.
wet socks therapies, but this girl I cannot get to get herself in a 5-minute bath. So if anybody listening has some tips and tricks to get Paige into a bath, let us know.
We might have to drug her and put her in, give her some Benadryl into her matcha.
Yuck.
Oh, don't start with me. Well, I love so much, Sabrina, that you also delved into this mindset component, and you actually said one of my favorite quotes of all time, which is life happens for you, not to you. And you said this was happening for me.
Yeah.
It's such a profound quote that when I first heard that quote, I remember thinking, what do you mean all of these awful things have happened for me? Like that is so triggering. And then when you really sit with it and you kind of pull back and take that bird's eye view, you're like, oh, this happened for me so that X, Y, and Z could happen. So I would love for you, you know, dealing with acne, it's not fun. It's not something you would wish upon somebody. So for you, what component makes you say, okay, this is happening for me?
Yeah, I love this conversation, honestly, because it just is such a perspective shift. I remember when it clicked for me, and I just remembered thinking that this acne, if it wasn't acne, something else would have manifested in my body, whether it be pain or I don't know, something else.
Headaches, stomach, like there's so many things it could have been, right?
Yeah, and I think if 3 years ago, if I would have gotten, you know, chronic headaches, I probably would have taken a few ibuprofens and called it a day. And I probably wouldn't dive that deep into it. But since it's acne, it's on my face, it's what I'm looking at in the mirror, it's how people perceive me. I just felt like everything was pointing me towards this journey of figuring out the actual root cause instead of me just, you know, popping an ibuprofen and calling it a day. So I definitely think that this is like definitely happening for me. And another thing is like, I'm in a weird way, I'm so happy that I am on this journey because I'm eating so much cleaner. I'm so much happier. My thoughts are clear. Like I just have so much more clarity in my life because of the holistic route that I'm on right now. Like how I ate 3 years ago was like, you know, pizza rolls and mac and cheese, and because it was so good. But
delicious. Yeah, delicious.
Yeah, it's delicious. And I can't honestly imagine eating that way or living the way that I once did. And I'm so thankful that I am living how I am now. And it's because of the acne. So that's definitely like a different perspective shift where you can just like thank your body for showing up in a very profound way, because our bodies are so intelligent. They're so smart and they know exactly what we need. So 3 years ago, when I was experiencing like a face full of acne, my body was basically screaming at me saying like, you need to do something different because we're hurting in here. So it showed up on my face.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Is when it's on your face, it's kind of hard to ignore. And, you know, something that I always talk about is, yes, we're working to clear up your acne, but what we're really doing is we're helping your body repair at a really deep level, which is then going to help prevent deadlier diseases and illnesses later on in life. Because if you keep ignoring your gut health and your liver health and your hormones and your lymphatics and basically your entire body health year after year, what begins to happen, Chris?
No good.
No good.
That's my non-geek version. No good.
No good.
But the thing is we have to also understand is we have normalized so many of these symptoms. I'm pretty sure if Sabrina went to the doctor and she's like, oh, you know what, I have gas and bloat, they're going to be like, oh, well, yeah, that's normal. You know what I mean? It's not going to, oh, well, what are you eating? How are you eating? She goes to the doctor and has acne, and they're like, okay, well, we have birth control, we have Accutane, we have spironolactone. What's your vice? Right? I went to the doctor recently. Yeah, I have a doctor. Just saying that right
That
out
you
loud.
see once every decade.
Okay, well, sometimes I need a script renewal. So
For your thyroid.
for my thyroid, so I did it. And I'm not kidding. I could put my fingers like this, so she's still paper, right? So
Oh, whoa.
I know,
Old
love
school.
it, love
Old
it.
school.
See why I'm staying. There's no nothing there tracking me. Anyways, honestly, it was about an inch and a half, and they were all blank Accutane forms.
No way.
It took everything in me to say, here's my card. Please, if your patient goes off of it, and I can guarantee you 2 rounds, they're going to get 4 to 6, maybe 8 months of clear skin, and it's going to come back and you're going to want to throw them on them. Please, here's my card. I can give them some love, but I reserved because it wasn't my place, right?
You had to bite your tongue, didn't you? It bled, I bet, that tongue of yours.
Actually, you know what I did? I took off my glasses so I couldn't read any more of the files from where I was sitting. I did. True.
Such a Chris thing. But that's it, right? I love that you brought that up, Sabrina, that it helped you really address what was going on inside. Because like you said, had it been a headache or had it been like just some IBS, you've been like, I'll just take this and go on with my day. But acne really makes you stop.
It does, for sure.
Yeah.
It's forward facing. Why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And we live in such a visual society, like such a visual society, that even though, I love that we're having that body inclusivity and that's such a great thing. And at the same time, we're still living in such a visual society where we're staring at Instagram and TikTok and social media and ads and all of these things that it's so hard to ignore when you're sitting there at home scrolling your phone and your confidence is so depleted because you're so stressed about your skin. And I say this from personal experience. We didn't have Instagram and TikTok when I had acne, thank goodness. But we had airbrushed magazines and everything. And I remember just thinking, oh my gosh, how come these people have clear skin and I don't?
Especially all the makeup now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like it's like dripping the concealer, the foundations like this, and then painting it on.
She has teenage girls, Sabrina. I don't know if you know that. She has teen girls.
No, but honestly, my eldest has gone from caking her face, and she has acne here and there and whatever. We're dealing with some stuff. Mama doesn't know, so it's okay. But she has gone from trying to hide it now to very minimal makeup. And that's the thing, right? Watching her doing that transition, I know the information is dripping. I don't need to just hammer it and hammer it and hammer it. And, she doesn't listen to me anyways. Like, I think at one point that alien will eject from her body and she will return home safely.
We all do. I was like that. I don't know, Sabrina, if you had that same where you didn't want to listen to anything that your caregivers had to say.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure Chris was like that. Actually, I can almost guarantee Chris was like that.
I was a law-abiding citizen of my parents.
I'm sure she was. She was. Let's change the subject before
Listen,
Chris
nobody's here to say otherwise.
Chris is going to plead the fifth. So Sabrina, I love for you, again, another thing that you said is that you couldn't imagine going back to the way that you used to eat. And this is something I say a lot because I was like you, my early 20s, I ate mac and cheese and pierogies and pizza pockets and all of the things. And I never could have imagined back then that I would be sitting here today being a nutritionist talking about vegetables. Like that wasn't a thing. So for you, what do you think was really that switch, that light bulb moment where you were like, you want to know what? I like this new way of eating. I don't want to go back to what I was doing.
Yeah, I think it started a little bit probably before the clear skin solution, but I'm cooking for myself at home because at this point I'm like, I don't trust what anyone else is going to feed me. Like I don't trust what the restaurants are putting in their food. So I'm cooking for myself, and even my fiance, he's like, this is so much better than anything that we could buy at the store. So even he's on board now. So it took a little bit, but like just learning how to cook with these whole healthy foods, like turning a cabbage into like a beautiful stir fry, like, and just the most whole, clean, fresh foods. I think that's really what helped me, was just to find that eating does not have to be boring. And in fact, it's like way more fun now.
I so agree. Like
Hmm.
so agree with that. And I love that your fiance is on board as well, because I find like, you know, for I know Chris, we both have husbands as well. So in the beginning, when you first start changing, our husbands are like, what are we doing here? Like, no, I want the other stuff. I want the bag of Doritos in the cupboard. I want that. But when you start realizing that food doesn't have to taste bad, that real whole nutritious food can taste good, that really does make a difference.
It does. Yeah.
You have to wait till the palate in your mouth changes.
Mhm.
We crave the things we had because not only is it feeding pathogens and dysbiosis, and they want to live. Who doesn't want to live? Everything is going to fight.
Those microbes want to fight.
Yeah. Sabrina, SIBO, how many blah,
That's a lot of microbes.
do we have living, hanging out in the lower extremity and probably even higher, right? These are the things. They want to live, so they're going to do whatever they can to get you to eat it, and they are strong forces. So as people start to transition to, I mean, Katie and I are really big. When you transition, you go anti-inflammatory. You just don't go. Could you imagine going into your focus 2 just right off the hub of eating craft dinner and like Twinkies?
That'd be really hard.
It would be impossible. You would hate your life. You would like that. This is awful. Get me out of here.
You would be sending Leanna, who's your coach, you'd be sending her some really nasty notes, right? Like,
she'd be getting some eggs thrown at her house.
Yeah. So these are the things we just want everyone to understand is, would you say, Sabrina, it's a progressional step
definitely.
towards building that sustainable future?
It definitely did not happen overnight. Like, I just remember slowly every time that I went to the grocery store, it would be less frozen things, more fresh things. And it definitely happened like over the course of, I'd say like a year or two, just kind of switching what my kitchen looked like and just really getting into the habit of, oh, I actually don't eat that. And it's not because like, oh, I'm on a diet or something like that. It's just like a choice. It's, oh, I will not put that in my mouth anymore. Like that frozen pizza or whatever it is. So yeah.
I love that you slowly transition, right? A little bit at a time. It's like the balance beam started to shift the other way where it was more good than more bad. And I think that's so important for you to share that it's not an overnight thing. I did the same. It took me probably 2 or 3 years to transition my palate and transition my kitchen and transition the way I ate, because how we eat is so ingrained in us from the time that we're born, and changing our palate takes some time.
Yeah.
Every 2 weeks, your taste buds can roll over. But here's the thing. We have to be exposed to the new in order to identify, because when we're kids, we didn't like Brussels sprouts or broccoli or whatever green vegetable was put on your plate, right? And now as an adult, look back at that food. Do you tolerate it, right? It's not because we grow out of allergies or grow into foods. The fact is either something gets repressed or something gets more, I'm going to say more fluid into your environment, and that it allows the expression to happen. And then now, Sabrina, when you go through the grocery store, you know, you probably start in produce and you probably skip some other aisles that would have been the go-to first. Fair?
Right.
Yeah.
And the tricky thing is for me is that to eat with my family and like to like go over to my mom's house for dinner, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna bring my own food. Like I'm to the point where I'm like deep in a protocol and I'm not gonna step out of my protocol. I'm like, okay, I'm making my own. So just don't even worry about me. I've said that so many times. I'm like, don't worry about me. I got it.
I love that you're advocating for yourself, because that can be a really difficult thing for a lot of people to do, is especially when you're starting the journey. You don't want to like step on someone's toes. So for you, how have you found going through this journey, you know, with your family? Has your family been supportive? Have they been a little hard to understand what you're doing? And I don't know if your fiance's family is close by as well, but I know, you know, having in-laws, that can be difficult too.
Yeah. I think they're so receptive and they're so curious. Like I'm the first person in my family to eat like this, like like not
to eat healthy, to eat vegetables.
Yeah, exactly.
Whole foods.
Whole foods and natural whole foods. Exactly. So they're definitely curious. And so they'll ask a lot of questions. They'll poke fun of me. They'll be like, oh, Sabrina only eats rabbit food. And, all in good fun. Like, but they've definitely been extremely receptive. And actually, my fiance's family has asked me to like start writing my recipes down, because every time I cook for them, they're like, what is this? How did you make this? So I've started to write some recipes down and share it with them.
Yay.
So that's good.
I love that. Sabrina, that's so cool. I love that your in-laws have been so supportive like that, and your parents, but that they're like, Sabrina, can you write this recipe down? That must be such a good feeling.
It is. It's so like rewarding.
This is how a generation starts to change and morph, because Sabrina, you and your husband, if you want children or you get a pet, you're probably going to be more cognizant on what is going into their mouths, because you're bringing that same awareness to you. This is huge. So we always say we are not our family, our family's history is not our future. This is exactly what I mean. We have to break the generational stigma or the like we call it epigenetics, right? We are our environment.
Yeah.
So by doing this is how we do it. One drip at a time, one person at a time. And of course that person's you first, right? But look at all the beautiful, like infectious, nature that you have on the people of your surroundings now.
It's the ripple effect, right? Because Sabrina, you decided to make a decision to invest in you and your health. You've created this incredible ripple effect within your own circle of loved ones, where now it's like spreading out, and you have no idea how impactful that ripple is going to be, right? Because it can just keep spreading out amongst everybody.
It's so true. And I've actually had a lot of people in my life who have different ailments, and one of my friends has endometriosis, another friend has acne. They've come to me and they're like, I am so lost. What do I do? So I'm not a doctor and I'm not a nutritionist, but I will point them in the direction of, I'm like, listen to this podcast, read this article. What about this? Like, I'll just point them in the right direction. And my friend who has endo, this was her first period in a few months where she wasn't throwing up in pain the entire day. So she was still in pain, but it wasn't as bad. And so she's like, thanks to you, my doctor, Sabrina. Like,
Dr. Sabrina.
I love that. Look at that is the ripple. Like, it brings tears to my eyes, because that is such a profound ripple effect, that your friend had been struggling with such severe, like endo is horrendous. And the fact that she debilitating. The fact that she was able to like not be throwing up in pain is such a huge shift for her. So it brings tears to my eyes, the fact that you were able to help her like that. And I'm sure she is incredibly thankful as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh my goodness. And like,
so Sabrina, I'm going to put you on the spot for a second.
Hot seat with Chris. Hot seat.
Why? Because this is raw and we don't edit it. And, like there's no script here. Like we're just cusping it as we go. So hot seat is like awesome. And this is just going to show authentic.
Here she goes. I don't know where she's going with this one, Sabrina.
All
I
right,
can't help
ready?
you.
Okay.
No. Coming into the CSS, what did you learn that was like an aha moment, or, oh my gosh, I didn't know that moment, or you want to share with somebody?
The first thing that came to my mind, I feel like I have a few, but the first thing was that I personally have low stomach acid and that I wasn't able to break down my food. And so that totally clicked. And I'm like, of course, that's why I've been having such, terrible digestion. And it's been so hard for me to go to the bathroom and all of this different things, because I'm not digesting my food. I'm not breaking it down. So that to me was huge, realizing that.
And it's like a large percentage. I don't have the exact stat off my top of my head, but a large percentage of acne stuffers actually have low stomach acid.
Yeah.
And it's not regularly talked about.
Yeah, even the enzymes, right? Sometimes we have the enzymes, they just can't do what they need to do because there's all this static around them, like trying to be, in the middle of a rave, trying to have a conversation with somebody. That's kind of how it goes. It's like, what? You want me to what? right? These types of things. All right, you said you had a couple. Is there another one you wanted to share? Because I don't want to cut you off.
I loved the not drinking water a half hour before or a half hour after, because I'm the type of person who, like, I have my huge 32-ounce water bottle and I'm like chugging it like any time of the day. And especially I honestly think it was like before a meal. I don't know why that used to be me, but
everyone does it. It's ingrained. You drink water with your meal.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was just it's a small shift, but I definitely saw such a huge improvement once I stopped drinking a half hour before and a half hour after. It's like, this makes a lot of sense, because first of all, low stomach acid, I'm sure it's not helping when I'm like dousing water in there. I'm sure that's not helping anything. So that definitely helped a lot.
I love that. Those are two really good nuggets, right? It's these little nuggets that I think everybody listening is going to be like, oh, that's great. I'm going to try that too. So Chris, I'm really glad you asked that question. We should start asking that from now on.
Yeah.
Is those little nuggets.
Some days I'm awake. Some days I'm awake.
Chris, did you have your coffee today?
Always. Hello,
Always.
Team Coffee.
Team Coffee.
I do have one more.
Oh, she's on fire. Okay, I'll take a step back. Don't worry.
Actually, Sabrina, so when you came in, I quickly opened your file, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I do that because I pull up your HTMA because I know Katie's going to nab me on that one. So I better be like primed. I'm not
a dictator over here. I swear, everybody.
No, but we like to connect the minerals
we
because
do.
we truly feel that these are ingrained in the entire body systems, right? So I looked at something. Oh, by the way, you're going to get a supplement recommendation. Might as well just spring that on you now, because I looked at something and I said, hey, Leanna, you know what? I really like this to be entered in, check it out. If it jives, she's like, yeah, hands down, because you're in the liver right now, just to give that little bit of extra love, because you just recently had a flare. Mm-hmm. And you know what she said?
What?
Leanna?
Mm-hmm.
What?
I'm gonna read something Leanna said.
Oh, you're gonna read a Slack message from Leanna?
I'm gonna read something.
All right, let's read it.
I said, okay, so how's everything going? And I do nonchalant. Here's Leanna. Sabrina truly has embraced all aspects in the journey, even on the hard days. She has showed up for herself and pushed through and never made excuses or showed reluctance in trying anything. The epitome of an awesome client, especially in her desire to show up for herself, both in her physical gains, but also in her mindset.
Oh, that's so sweet. That can make me cry.
Who needs a Kleenex?
I know, I'm actually tearing up. That was so sweet. Leanna, that was adorable.
It's so amazing.
And so here's something. That's from Leanna. Mm-hmm. We don't, I shouldn't say we don't touch your files, because many people look at the file ahead of time. However, we're not actively a part. You have a dedicated coach. Mm-hmm. And everything you have said up to this point of what she just wrote me, the symmetry is there. So you can't make that stuff up.
Yeah.
Right? So, okay, 2 gold stars for you today.
Yay.
Handed out these gold stars over there.
Hand them out.
Wow.
I think we need t-shirts, which is the big gold star.
Yeah. We do need t-shirts with gold stars. I love that. And you want to know what? I'm sure, like, being a life coach, I can tell you're a really good life coach, because you're able to almost like self-coach yourself, I'm sure, through a lot of these challenging moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always tell myself, like, I have to provide like coaching or therapy to myself when I see someone else eating like a big cheese pizza that I really want to eat. I'm like, don't get mad at them. It's fine. They can eat that.
They're allowed.
That's so funny.
I love how you give everybody a pass.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
fine.
Like, they can do it.
It's fine. Yeah. I know. I have to give my husband some passes once in a while when I'm like, what was this $4.89 charge from Gino's Pizza doing on our credit card? He's like, I'm hungry. I needed to eat pizza. I'm like, that's okay. But now Sabrina, that you've gone through quite a bit of journey. You're entering into month 7. We've talked about a lot about it. I would love to know what's not only your skin looking like right now, but I would also love to know, has there been any other changes in your symptoms? Because you were dealing with painful periods yourself.
Mhm.
You had digestive issues. You had just come off the IUD. So kind of walk us through, like, what were those shifts in your symptoms so far?
Yeah, I'd say one thing that was a little surprising was that when I was on, I think the first month of my gut protocol, is that my period ended up being a little bit longer. But I talked to Leanna about that, and she said that that was normal since the gut, again, shifting some pieces around, and my hormones follow the gut. I don't know. I'm probably not speaking very
You're good.
scientifically right
Yeah,
now,
no, you're good.
but
You're doing a good job.
it makes sense. It's almost like a proof and evidence that, like, oh, it is working. Like, we're definitely getting in there, because since your period was 4 days late, and it wasn't too late, but it was just a little shift that I realized. And then the next month it was back to my normal. So I think that was something interesting too, that I was at first a little worried about. I was like, uh-oh, something's going on. Because when you hear about, cycles changing, it's just like an immediate red flag. At least to me, I'm like, oh no, something's wrong. When in reality, it was just my body organizing. So organizing and shifting those pieces. So, and then something else that I do kind of want to go back to is, like I said before, I did flare like last week or even Monday. And I remember thinking, like, oh my gosh, I can't even show up for this podcast because just going to be in tears, just thinking like, like I have nothing good to say right now. But okay, I also provided coaching to myself through that, and I decided that, everything happens for us, and my skin is already looking so much better. So when the flares happen, please, this is advice, please don't get bogged down, and this is also advice for myself.
Love it.
Don't get bogged down, and don't feel defeated, because it is happening and flaring up for a reason, and it'll calm down before you know it, because I had a really good skin day yesterday and today. So there we go.
And you're going through another therapeutic protocol right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So lots of things are shifting.
And it's a good way to explain it is your body wants to be in something called homeostasis, Sabrina, which is that state of balance, right? And if what's that thing? You know what I'm talking about, Chris?
Teeter totter seesaw?
Not the teeter totter, the scale. The scale. The old school scales is what I was
I'm
trying
not
to
playing
say.
charades with you.
Pictionary. No, charades. Yeah, not Pictionary. Charades. But if you look at it like an old school scale, right, is your body's trying to get in that like leveled balance. And as you're going through protocols, things shift and it kind of teeters that way. And the body's like, let's course correct. So it's constantly trying to get back into that state of balance as you're working through repairing the systems. And then, once you've gotten through the other side, that's when it kind of hovers in that state of balance. And it's like, okay, we can get rid of the symptoms now.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that picture. And also to even think that I had painful periods 7 months ago is very strange to even think about. It's like I completely forgot that I had that until you said something. It's just funny that like we just forget. Like if we're not keeping track,
you're like,
yeah, it just doesn't seem like a part of my daily routine. So I was like kind of shocked to hear that I used to have painful periods, but I totally did. So that is,
you're like, oh yeah, I forgot.
Oh, yeah. That did really suck when that happened, but
that did really suck.
Yeah, but I'm out of it now. So
that's actually how I had children.
That's same.
Because I'm not kidding. You have children.
You forget.
It's not fun when that baby has to come out.
No.
And you forget. And I did it 3 times. I don't know if there's something not clicking upstairs or
we forget.
It's the pain receptors. It's like you said, that
your body
body's natural ability to want to heal. Right? Yeah. The natural ability to do things. And we have eustress. So eustress is all of those beautiful traumas like a baby. So we see the little bundle. We're like, oh, look at this. It's so cute. And then we're like, oh, let's do it again. And then they get to, teenage years and you're like, what did I do? Right? So we have cycles. Yeah, we have cycles.
Yeah.
I know. It's so funny, right? As you forget that pain and then you bring it up, you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I guess I did get rid of that. And oh yeah, I guess my digestion is improving. And oh yeah, when I look back at my photos, my skin really is improving. So I love that, you've been able to share so much of this journey with us. And it's just been such a candid and lovely conversation, Sabrina. And I love that you've been able to bring in so much of that life coaching component to it as well. So for you, having that life coaching knowledge and having gone through this journey, what would you say has been one of the most rewarding things that has happened for you over the course of your whole acne journey? And what would you give as like one piece of advice for someone beginning their journey?
I would say the most rewarding thing is completing a protocol and just being like, I did it. And because at first when I would read the protocols, I start to spiral. I'm like, oh, I can't eat anything. This is going to be so hard. But then after a few weeks, a few months, I look back and I'm like, look at me. I did it. And it wasn't honestly that hard. Like, you just get so used to it. After a week into the protocol, it's no big deal. I think that's another piece of advice is just don't get too scared before actually diving into the protocol, because you'll be in the middle of one and thinking like, oh, this is so normal right now. Like, I just can't eat sweet potatoes right now, but that's okay because I love Brussels sprouts or whatever else you're going to put in there. So I think that just don't get too scared or intimidated when looking at that protocol, and don't get mad at other people for eating pizza. Just provide yourself that coaching and the therapy.
True facts right there. True facts.
We might have to hire Sabrina to come in to do life coaching pre-protocols for everybody. Don't get mad at the pizza eaters, everyone. Don't get mad at the pizza eaters.
We all need that reminder.
And you did say it. You said, I have trained and trusted the process. When I go out to eat, I don't trust other people's food. So it's funny how the trust kind of is switched, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, this was so fun. I loved this chat, Sabrina. Thank you so much for coming on and talking with Chris and I today. It was such a pleasure. And I think you offered so many great words of wisdom and a lot of mindset shifts as well. And I know so many people listening are like, oh my gosh, me too. But also, oh my gosh, thank you for saying that, because it was so raw and transparent. So we so appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yay. All right, everybody. Another episode here at the Clear Skin Chronicles. We'll see you next Wednesday for another episode.
Thanks for hanging out with us this week on the Clear Skin Chronicles. We'll see you next Wednesday with a brand new episode. Remember to subscribe to the show and drop us a review. Sending glowing vibes your way, Katie and Chris.